Shalom and welcome once again to Treasures of the Torah. I'm Pastor Matt McEwen. This week, our Torah portion is called Beshalach, and it involves the fulfilling of a promise. Jacob makes his family promise that they will carry him out of there and bury him in the Holy Land. And not only do they bring the bones of Jacob out, but they bring the bones of Joseph out in the Exodus. And so it says at the beginning of our Torah portion in verse 19, so Moses took the bones of Joseph with him. From the context, it is apparent that Moses took Joseph's bones not only in order to fulfill the promise the people made to him, but also as a prerequisite for the ensuing journey through the desert. Now listen to this. This comes from the Kihot Chumash. Rather than referring to Joseph's remains, or using some other discrete term, the Torah purposely uses this seemingly indelicate description, the bones of Joseph. This is because the bones are, in a sense, the essence of the body. They form the strong, defining frame, and the only part that remains after all else has decayed. In fact, the Hebrew word for bone, etzem, also means the essence of something. And so, in a way, this verse can be understood as them carrying the essence of Joseph out. And in fact, when we study the sages of Israel, the ancient rabbis tell us that all of the miracles that happened in the wilderness were through the merit of the bones of Joseph. This can seem like a strange idea to people that grow up in a Christian context, but this is very much at home in Judaism. In fact, if you will remember, we've mentioned this in weeks past. Remember when they are burying a person and a band of raiders comes out, they throw the body of this person into the grave, into the tomb, and it happens to be where the bones of Elisha or Elisha are. And when the body hits the bones of this great prophet, the man actually comes back to life. There was still some of that residual essence, the kedusha, the holiness, even in the bones of this mighty man of God. So this is not only a promise kept of bringing out the bones of Joseph, but this is also a story of merit, that there is a merit in a righteous person, an essence that is even able to be left behind after that person dies. This is something that we need to think of as a legacy, perhaps. What will be the legacy for you and I after we have long passed? After what is left of us is just our bones? What sort of essence will we be leaving behind? It's a question for all of us to ask ourselves. Thank you for joining me this week. We also want to remind you to go to rivkaremnant.com and get Rabbi Shapira's latest book called The Rivka Remnant. I was privileged to write the foreword to this book. It is a life-changing work, and in my estimation, it's the most important book that's been written since the revival of Messianic Judaism, and I don't say that lightly. It has implications for Judaism, for the church, for Jews and Gentiles both, and it deals with the last days, with the coming judgment, with the rapture, all of these things that concern the end times. And so I think it's important for us to really grasp this concept. So once again, pick up that book, and you'll probably want to get multiple copies for your family and friends. Thank you for joining me this week. I pray that this message has been a blessing to you. Shalom and Kol Tuv.